Good morning. My name is John White. I'm the Executive Director of Enrollment Management at the Wake Forest School of Business. Um, I'm thrilled to be joined here by two esteemed alums. We have launched a new series called the Global Roundtable to connect with international students who experience the Wake Forest programs and then have gone on to success professionally, either here in the States, um, back in their home country of origin or in a new location entirely. But we launched this series, and today is our first session. So thank you to Andy and Chris for joining, because the international student experience is so unique, and we felt like it deserved its own platform, and its own engagement. So with that, I am going to ask my two alums, first Andy Gong and then Chris Shen, to introduce themselves.
Thanks, John. So Andy Gong here. I grew up from Hangzhou, China. I spent about all the way until eighth grade in Hangzhou. Then I sort of moved around a little bit since my family got new jobs and all that. So I spent a little bit of time in Paris. I spent a little bit of time in Singapore. I ended up in the States in my high school years. So I came to the States when I was 10th grade. I went to New York University for my undergrad. I got my degree in business political economy, which is just a very fancy word to say a business degree. I decided to pursue a graduate degree because my undergrad graduation year happened to be 2020. So, for those of you that 2020 was a while ago, it was a COVID year, right? So looking for a job really wasn't the easiest thing. And just physically being in New York or living in New York wasn't, what everybody has dreamed of during March of that 2020 year, right? So I've spent a couple of years in Charlotte. That's why I moved back to Charlotte, and I can't just stay at home for the whole day after I moved back home. So I was looking for grad school options. One, to sort of do something during that COVID sort of hiring freeze slash downtime. And Wake Forest happened to be hour and a half up from the road, and they offer pretty amazing programs that are relatively short and versatile in a way that you're not tied down to a specific discipline, right? It's not like you're studying to be a chemical engineer or any of those roles, but rather the programs are versatile in a way that it offers plenty of transferable skills in terms of business and analytics, things like that. That I was hoping would give me a leg up in the job market later, which it did. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, John. Pretty long-winded introduction, but good to be here. Good to speak with you guys as well.
Absolutely. Love having you both. And you're both such involved students while you're in here. So it's great to see you back, supporting ideally the next future cohorts um, from China and from other international countries joining us at Wake. Chris, we'll segue to you.
I'm from Ningbo, Zhejiang. So, Andy's neighbor city, within the same province. And I've been similar to Andy. I've been in the States for high school since 10th grade, and that was in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to North Carolina to pursue my grad degree. North Carolina is kind of like my second hometown here. And I went to the University of Pittsburgh for my undergrad, double majored in finance and business information systems, minored in computer science with the certificate in business analytics. And the reason why I decided to pursue a graduate degree here at Wake is one, I live with those family who lives in Charlotte, and I wanted to be close to them, and I want a job in Charlotte and Raleigh. It's two of the key markets for Wake for sure. Somehow I ended up in Miami, but that's another topic. Um, but Wake also has had a special place in my heart. I went to a summer immersion program during high school here at Wake and enjoyed my time. And my favorite player, basketball player, happened to come to Wake, Chris Paul. So that is just a lot of coincidence that made me choose Wake. And from my friends, who went to Wake, and from what I heard from them, it's a good experience, a really solid program. an exceptional career service team that we'll touch on later. So that just kind of helped make all my decisions here.
That's great. Thank you. Sounds like despite being from the opposite side of the world, all your roads both led to North Carolina. It just fantastic. Andy, we're going to start with you in the next question. You are an international leader student, so meaning you did a sequential degree experience. You began with a master's in management and then the master's in business analytics. Both are STEM designated degrees. What made you decide to make the investment in MSM and then MSBA?
Of course. In my opinion, right, MSM, the Master of Science in Management program, it provides more soft slash, interpersonal skills, which I find to be really, really helpful. Given, the career path that I was sort of going in, right, as I was, deciding what I want to do, I said, like, I'm not going to be a coder. I'm not going to be a data scientist. I'm not going to be a software engineer now of that regard. I love working with people and love talking with people. John, that's why I'm here talking with you. So I think the MSM program, the soft skill aspect of it, right? How do you lead a presentation? How do you interpret a different audience, right? Those are really, really important in a people's business, right? Then going into MSBA, which is the Master of Science in Business Analytics program, that gives you a little bit more background, a little bit more technical focus, right? What I'm doing right now, I do transformation for financial services companies, right? And when you hear the word transformation, obviously in the year of 2025, most of transformation comes in some sort of way or form of digital enablement, right? So either you're implementing any new softwares, you are improving your processes, you are building better data pipeline, whatever that is. It's not just on pen and paper. It's somewhat hands-on keyboard, sort of development of that process, right? So I wanted to have that background to be able to look at, any technology calls or whatever on the screen and sort of understand it, right? Whether it's a AI model or it's some sort of forecasting or some sort of data relationship management. The MSBA program provides me with that level of expertise so that I can work with my more technical coworkers. I can work with my clients to help them in their technology transformation programs. So, in recap, right, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get that business skills from the MSM program, and you also get that technical expertise from the MSBA program, which I find really, really intriguing. And at the moment, that I was looking for grad school.
Fantastic, thanks. And you both, I know you both have cool jobs because I speak with you on in a good bit, and just the minimum you shared, Andy, sounds amazing. So I look forward to following up on that in a few minutes. Chris, we'll pivot to you. Besides your adoration for Chris Paul and maybe wanting to get away from Pittsburgh winters, um, what led you to the MSBA degree at Wake Forest? I know you're a good student. You had a lot of options. Why Wake Forest?
One is that, before I decided on which program to attend for my MSBA or other similar programs, one big thing for me, the goal that I set for myself was, to find a job. Find a job that I'm happy with, find a job that suits me well. And then career service became a really big, thing for me. And from what I heard and, from my peers, from other people online, I did my research. Wake Forest has some of the best career services that, they can offer for both domestic students and international students, super tailored, to different needs. And that was my biggest goal. You know, as we talked about my academic background, for a business student, I'm already fairly technical, with a lot of modeling, some coding, some even comp sci stuff. So here it's really to get one hands-on experience with a lot of client work that I will be doing projects with, using what I learn and apply them into real world projects, not some pseudo projects from pseudo projects. But also the biggest goal is to, leverage the career service here, and find me a good job, and, a good role that I'm happy with in some key markets here.
I'm gonna take you back in time, both of you back in time to the classroom at Farrell Hall. Chris, not that long ago for you. Andy, just a shade longer. We'll start with Andy. Andy, what was it like working with professors in the programs, MSM and MSBA? And did you have a favorite class or instructor or something you learned that you didn't expect to?
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference between, like your high school instructors slash teachers or your college, econ 101 professors versus, your grad school professors, right? They're more like a mentor or some sort of partner, right? They're more helping you to achieve whatever that you want to do. Obviously, they have a set of curriculums that they need to go through, right? But unlike, the teachers, instructors that you meet earlier in your academic careers that are solely focused on that set of curriculums, the folks in grad school, they're more interested in learning about you, what your academic slash career interests are, and how they can best help you achieve whatever your goals are, right? In a way that if you're super interested in I don't know, data modeling and data relationship management, right? Um, yes, there is a module in that class that will talk about that, but those professors have so much experience and they will be able to provide you with, additional readings or, hey, here's a news article that's about something, you're super interested in that we sort of talked about in class, right? Let us know if you want to talk more about it, either, online, offline, in class, outside class. They're there to help you succeed, whatever way that you are hoping to do this program, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the career is yours, the experience is yours, and they're just there to guide you through this experience and make sure you get the most out of it. I know you asked about a favorite class or a professor. I mean, they're all amazing. I don't want to name names, right? In case they don't teach there anymore, or they are teaching a different program or whatnot. But the thing that I had with my favorite class is either it's a hands-on learning class where you're learning how to code or you're learning how to build out a project plan with a real time scenario, right? So I know in both of the programs there's a huge component of the experimental learning program, right? Seeing what is it called, John? The practicum, right?
It's the graduate
So
consulting projects and management. You had a double dose. So you had the graduate consulting projects and then you had the business analytics practicum, which Chris also had.
yes, perfect. So I will say those programs that offer you a real world business case, a scenario, and it doesn't really have an open ended answer or outcome, right? It's sort of okay. Here's a scenario, right? Apply whatever you're learning in class or outside of class towards a scenario and see what you get out of it, right? It's a really really cool experience, and I was actually really lucky to do it twice. That it really mirrors, a real life scenarios, right? In a way that there isn't really an answer for you to get to. There really isn't a final exam that you have to sit through, and there really isn't any formulas you need to remember, or need to remember any concepts or different ways to solve different problems, right? It's just open ended, and it's just like life, right? Like when we go in with a client engagement, we sort of know what we need to do, but throughout our interaction with the client, your problem statement will probably change, 3 to 5 times, and you eventually end up somewhere that's not where you started with, right? So getting comfortable with not knowing where you're going, and I think that's really really important that I got to experience that from school.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, the experiential learning components that you referenced are still both cornerstones of each program, both MSM and MSBA. Chris, so you and Andy both went to really prestigious large schools, New York University in Manhattan, University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. We'll pivot that question a little bit for you. How is the professorial student engagement experience different here, perhaps, than at a larger school? And any surprises along the way?
I would say yes and no. Wake has always taken pride in being the smallest Power Five schools. Sometimes it feels like liberal arts school, but the good thing is that the classroom size are so small. Even with a big cohort of MSM, MSBA student. Everybody knows each other. It feels like a very tight knit family. So it's not just within the classroom, outside of the classroom socially. You always have activities to do. You're always learning more about your peers from their background, their experience, how they experience, their undergrad studies or other aspect of life differently than you are. So it's a really great learning experience to, know more people and really branch out your, network connections, especially after graduation, and you can really leverage them very, very well in the future here at Wake. That's, what Wake School of Business is all about, in my opinion, that, you keep your connection after graduation and, many years later, it will come back to you in a very good way.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think one of the things that make the experience positive for you students within the program is, of course, the academic support, the small class sizes, the student faculty ratio, the student service model that we talk about, but then also those alumni connective tissues, which progress and then develop further once you leave Wake Forest. Andy, we're going to start you the next question. I'd love to hear a little bit about your work with the market readiness and employment team, the career coaches. You had it twice, of course, because in your MSM year, you were not searching for a role because you were going to the MSBA program immediately afterwards, but you did work with coaches in both programs. We take a lot of pride in the career coaching resources here in the business school. A lot of it focused around student development, but then, of course, as Chris talked about, the outcomes, the job placements for both international students and domestic students. So, Andy, I'd love to start with you and tell a little bit about your experience with the career coaching team, and if they supported you in your journey, how you felt supported.
Yeah, of course. I want to just sort of go back to the concept of, being a partner slash coach, right? That's truly who they are and what they do, right? They're not professors, they're not instructors, right? They're there to support you and to help you, figure out what exactly you wanted to do. And once you made that decision, they are there with all their available resources to help you achieve that, right? Um, when I started my journey with Wake Forest, right? I have, I'll say like a semi good idea of what I wanted to do, right? The thing I said, I don't want to do any of the coding work. I don't want to be a, software engineer, like none of that stuff, right? So, that's what I told the coaches exactly, right? Say, hey, like this is what I want to do. I know I want to work with people, but I don't really want to go into the nitty gritty of technologies, right? And they are sending me different resources, right? They're like, take a look at this job posting, or I think consulting would be a really good fit for you, right? Um, Again, you have to provide them with your inputs so that they can give you very, very targeted recommendations or, job postings or alumni connections that you can reach out to. And, sometimes I'll meet with them just to talk about life, right? Just to talk about, like take a pause from job search, right? Talk about what I want to do for spring break, what I want to do for fall break, right? How things going? They're really there to support you throughout your journey here at Wake Forest. So that's one thing that I really, really like and appreciate about the coaches here.
Thank you. Chris, pivot to you. The MSBA experience is, as Andy referenced, both degree experiences are quick, designed to bring you in, build upon the amazing learning you already have, and then increase your domain knowledge and technical skills. So, MSBA, knowing you're coming in with a good set of skills already from UPIT, but you've got some defined career goals and a timeline. What was it like for you working with the market readiness employment career coaches, and how did they help you ideally land your role?
Yeah, I would say one word, it was super strategic, in a very, very good way. That, as Andy mentioned, we came in with our own goals, we want to be in this industry ideally, and these are only the roles that we're interested in. But, after talking to your career coach, they really open different doors for you. And they're super strategic about how they could land you a job. At the time, I was only looking for consulting and financial services. That's it. But, given the key markets here, in Raleigh, Charlotte, or, for Wake Forest, and at the time, consulting was very much on hiring freeze. So my career coach, Sally, was, able to help me pivot, and be open to more ideas, different roles that could potentially suit me better or, make me happier in many ways. And I've never been in a program and work with a career service team that's so dedicated. You know, I get emails from my career coach, "Hey, these are the jobs you should apply. You should take a look." And if it wasn't for them, I would never be in the position I am today. I didn't even know about the company Carnival Cruise Line until they send me an Excel sheet with, "Hey, these are the companies that you should look at this career fair, and this company we think should absolutely apply and will fit you really, really well." And that's how I got to where I am today. So if Sally's here today, I would absolutely love to, say thank you to her again. And she really made a huge difference for my way career here.
Chris, we'll start with you. Tell us, who do you work for? What are you doing, and where are you? And then Andy will go to you next, of course.
So currently, I am in a leadership development program at Carnival Cruise Line, the largest cruise line in the world. And I brought my talent to the South Beach, so I am located in Miami. So currently, the program is 18-month long, and we do 3 6-month rotations with different teams to learn about the business. Then after that, we transition to a full-time regular role, and you know add more value to the business. That's why it's called leadership development, which sounds pretty cool. And as we are on the cruise ships, we choose bond, but we also in the office are pretty fun people, and it's a very good work environment.
That's great. Were Wake Forest alumni part of your career search exploration at all, and impactful in ending up working in this leadership development program at Carnival?
Absolutely. We had two former Wake alumni, Aaron and Rachel, who were also employed at Carnival Cruise Line, and they were my best contact in learning about what the company is about, how their experience were over there, and they provided me with a lot of valuable insights, and you know, those insights definitely get you a leg up when it comes to interviews and knowing what you want, and that's how I end up here today.
And I'm sure the weather is wonderful down in South Beach. Andy, same question for you. You teased it a little bit up at the beginning. Who do you work for now? What is your title? Where are you located? You talked a little bit about digital transformation or digital enablement. Share with us your professional story as it is today.
Sure. So I work for EY. I'm currently a senior consultant in our technology consulting practice. And I specifically focused on technology solution delivery, which is just a really fancy word to say if you're a company and you're looking to complete a major transformation, we provide end-to-end service from the very upfront, um, strategy and technology vendor selection through mobilization, understanding what you need to implement and how you're going to do it, and managing all the governance and architecture aspect of it, all the way to the implementation, actually building that tool, building that software, and to the deployment, making that software available for launch, right? So we do that as an end-to-end value chain, and we all have our majors and minors within this value chain as well, right? I personally like the upfront strategy work, the strategy, the architecture work more than building things out on a day-to-day basis, testing it in production, and all that stuff. So I'll say that'll be my major, right? In the business strategy and transformation space. We work with different clients. Since I've been with the firm for a little bit over 2 years, 2.5 years now, right? Unfortunately, all my clients are in really, really cool places. I've had a client in Des Moines, Iowa for a little bit over a year. I have a client in Minneapolis, which is also really, really cold. And my current client is in Connecticut, so New England, which I commute to a couple times a month. So I'm really, really jealous that Chris, you got to work from Miami. Hopefully, all your travels will lead you to warmer destinations and beautiful beaches and all that. So let me know if you guys are looking for any technology work.
That's good to know, Andy. Good to know. And we'll definitely connect.
So that's a great example of the real-time Wake Forest Business Alumni Network in action. I want to be mindful of time. This has been so wonderful. I could spend hours talking with each of you, and again, it brings up so many fond memories of when I saw you here develop and flourish at the business school. So it's so gratifying to see you both continuing to develop and flourish as alums in your professional careers. Chris, we'll start with you on this. What would be your best piece of advice for international students from China, from other countries, beginning their graduate school application process now? There are some students moving a little bit later, or for those who've already decided that they want to come to Wake Forest next year.
Yeah, my advice for who are still deciding, is definitely, have a clear set of goals, know what you want. Everybody has different goals. It may be getting a very solid education and, potentially return to your home country and, find a job there. Or your long-term goal might be, finish your education and you're set on finding a job here in the US. And you really have to take different approaches here. But definitely apply to Wake Forest. And, it's a really solid program with amazing people and you will learn a lot and really develop yourself a lot. And for people who have already decided to come here, I would say, it's the same word again, be strategic. The program is relatively short, so you really want to lay out a roadmap of what you want to achieve. Say if you want a job by the end of first semester, there's a lot of actions that you need to take, preparation that you have to make before you start your program to make sure that you don't miss any key milestones or deadlines that could potentially, be detrimental to your job market selection. So those are my advices.
Great, thanks. Andy, also over to you. Any advice for international students from China or other countries thinking about where they want to end up for grad school next year, and if perhaps they're still thinking about Wake Forest, any advice on guidance around the decision making process?
Yeah, I will say I really, really enjoyed the Wake alumni system, right? As I was looking for jobs, I did a lot of, outreach on LinkedIn or even my career coaches, right? Provided with name to, hey, those people that went to Wake Forest are currently working at XYZ companies, right? And this guy, started working there 2 months ago, and this guy has been working there for the last, 8 to 10 years, right? Talk to different people with different skill sets and with different level of experience because it will provide you with a different perspective as well, right? I really, really took advantage of the alumni network here at Wake Forest. I mean, I interviewed with folks that went to Wake Forest, right? Currently, I'm working with partners that went to Wake Forest as well, right? So once in a while, we'll to talk about, how great the Wake football program is and all those kind of stuff. So it definitely gives you a little bit more connection to the big, scary world out there because both of you are going to have, that label of, hey, I'm going to Wake Forest and you went to Wake Forest. So let's chat about it, right? It's going to make your connections really, really easy and it'll give you something to talk about, as your introduction to the big, scary world, as I always tell people. So that's that.
Wonderful. Anything either of you would like to share that you felt we didn't cover this morning before I do our closing remarks?
I would say, oh, go ahead. Oh, okay. One thing I want to say is definitely don't feel hesitant and feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn. Um, that's one thing I noticed about Wake alums. Like, they are so good with responding to Wake students or potential prospect or candidates on LinkedIn. I never felt like wouldn't get a response from people. They're super helpful. I mean, now it's I guess we are always willing to offer advice, suggestions and help people with their personal and career growth.
Andy?
I will say take advantage of the program, right? Remember, it's a really, really short program. Like a year flies by, even 2 year flew by like really quickly for me, right? And remember, this is probably going to be the last time you're in school, right? So take all advantage that you have for being a student. Use the library as much as you could. Use all the software licenses that Wake Forest offers, right? Once you're out of school, you're gonna start paying for those kind of things, and you don't have much time to even use those kind of things. So, take advantage of the school, of the time of being a student, and really, really use those resources that are made available to you, and you're paying for it. So
Thank you. I'd like to thank our audience for joining us. And as we close out, I especially want to thank Andy Gong and Chris Shen for being the first in our series of the Global Roundtable. Wonderful to see you both. Wake Forest is always your home. So come back and see us soon, and I'll look forward to our next connection. Thank you, and bye bye.